Hey everybody, welcome back to the Is It Worth Platinuming series. This is where I tell you are games worth your time and money, and of course, the Platinum Trophy. If that all sounds good, you're now legally obligated to subscribe. And on today's agenda, we've got a brand new title called Nobody Wants to Die. Is it worth platinuming? Let's find out. Nobody Wants to Die is an interactive noir cyberpunk detective game developed by Critical Hit Games, and it was created in Unreal Engine 5. This game was released on the 17th of July 2024 and debuted on PlayStation, Xbox and also Windows for approximately £20. I did manage to pick mine up with a £10 discount via the PS Plus scheme, which cost me $17.99, which was an absolute bargain. Initial reviews of the game at the time of recording have been overwhelmingly positive, and it is a fantastic debut title for Critical Hit Games. With some of the backstory out of the way, let's move into the trophy breakdown itself of the game. The Platinum journey consists of earning 27 trophies, including the Platinum. The difficulty is a 1 out of 10 and is estimated to take you anywhere between 3 to 5 hours. There are 12 missable trophies to keep an eye out for, ranging from completing chapter-specific tasks or relating to which ending you got. I would recommend playing the game through once blind to really take in the story, and then clean up any missed trophies with a guide on your second playthrough. You can follow video guides on YouTube which will tell you where to save and upload your data to the cloud to minimise the playtime it takes for the Platinum, but that's up to you if you want to do that. Overall, the trophy list is super easy and achievable, and you can probably get it within a day sitting. Now, moving on to the gameplay, I have to firstly mention how beautiful this game looks.
I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
And if I'm being completely honest, how good this game looked definitely piqued my interest immediately, alongside the interesting story that is mentioned in the trailer, which I will get onto in just a moment. But focusing on the gameplay here, my tiny little brain just couldn't comprehend how good this game looked, and also how cheap it was. It just didn't make sense how you can have such a beautiful looking game for such a reasonable price, I think at least. We've seen some absolute stinkers of titles over the past year which have cost significantly more money and also looked a lot worse. Game Mill. I did think this game was going to be too good to be true and be a PC exclusive, but luckily it's also on PlayStation and Xbox. While this game is set in the future, the modelling of New York in some areas is still really accurate to how it looks today. Shocker, it's based on a real place. But the only reason why I'm bringing this up is because in the last mission of the game I saw an area that I've actually seen in real life and also popularised by Gossip Girl. Yep, I'm a Gossip Girl fan, let's move on. But anyway, the Bethesda Fountain area in Central Park made an appearance in the game, and yes, I know it's in New York, but the fact that I was able to recognise it in its flaming beauty was definitely a moment. Enough about how great the game looks. How does it actually play? Well, again to my pleasure, the game played really well. While it doesn't break any boundaries, they did the basics for the most part right. I enjoyed the detective sections of the game. Admittedly, it did take a slight learning curve to get to grips with the system, but once I understood it, it was really good and easy. The detective mode in this game reminded me a lot of the Batman Arkham series, which as you know is thought of very highly. Your detective equipment varies from UV lights to X-ray scanners, alongside being able to manipulate time. The only gameplay critique that I have is while you are in this detective mode, you use a camera to gather evidence. The movement when operating the camera can be really janky in some sections, but I would say for the most part, at least 80% of the photo opportunities in the game are fine. There was just a few instances where it was really hard to control and I wasn't quite sure what I needed to take a picture of, but that is such a minor critique when overall everything else in the game is fine. I'm really just nitpicking here, it's not that bad to be honest. Overall, the gameplay was really good and it was super smooth. There is a hint mode as well if you do get stuck in some areas, but don't worry, it doesn't affect any trophy progress. In terms of the sound design and music, it did its job well. I'm not a sound expert, but I felt caught up and immersed in the moment, so props for that.
James.
And I do have to just give a quick shout out to the beautiful noir soundtrack that was crafted. Now moving on to the story of the game, please rest assured that I will be concise with this section and completely avoid spoilers. While I do have my own opinion of the story itself, in some areas and some plot points, it's still a decent story overall. By all means, it's no George R.R. Martin storytelling, but if you're into Blade Runner or Altered Carbon, I'm sure you're going to enjoy some aspects of this story at least. As seen in the trailer of this game, in this dystopian future, you're able to upload your consciousness to different bodies, but this is based on a subscription price that you pay. The more money, the better the body. So essentially, just imagine you're renting Netflix, but it's for your bodies. It's a crazy concept and it's also super interesting. If you enjoy interactive games like Heavy Rain, Detroit Become Human, or even some of the Telltale series where your choices matter, this game could definitely be for you. While your choices aren't in depth as some of the other titles mentioned, there's still enough choice to cause a butterfly effect, which, as you know, I absolutely love this in games where you change the outcome of the game. So, my final thoughts on the game. Should you platinum Nobody Wants to Die? In short, yeah, I think you should. The game looks amazing, it plays quite well, and the story is also quite interesting. The game doesn't take that long to complete, but if you want to fully immerse yourself in the world, you can take your time with things. There's a lot to explore and it can take you a fair amount of time. If you just want to get a quick platinum trophy, you can probably speedrun it, as I mentioned earlier, by watching a video guide. Again, I really do recommend playing through this blind just to make sure that you've got the best experience possible. And the difficulty for this platinum is super easy. It's basically just a walk-in simulator with, I guess, a detective point and click mode, if you want to be that harsh on it. I know the game has a bit more substance, but if we're being real, it is a very, very easy platinum to get. By all means, it's not shovelware, but it's definitely on the easier side. And for the price as well, I think it's a fantastic price for a game. You really are getting your money's worth here. I do have to say recently that this is probably one of my favorite platinums that I've got, just because I was so immersed and tied up into the world. I had a blast playing it on stream, and then I also delve a little deeper in my own personal time to really get the nitty-gritty details out of the way. I'd love to see what critical hit games have in store for the future, because if it is any indication from this title here, they are destined for very, very good things. With all of that said, if you enjoy watching platinum videos, I'd encourage you to subscribe to the channel and also like this video. It helps me out so much. I also stream a range of games on the channel where I go for platinums or platinum challenge runs where I make the difficulty of a platinum a lot harder. I have all of my streams scheduled on YouTube, so if you go over to the live tab, you can turn notifications on so you never miss a stream. Hopefully I'll catch you on one of the streams. See ya!